Good afternoon, Patriots. This is the American Vision, brought to you on the TLBTV network and broadcast under the sponsorship of the Liberty Beacon Project. I'm your host, Bill Muckler, and I'm coming to you from my home studio in Cocoa, Florida. And I'm really excited today because I have our Commandant of our Marine Corps League Detachment 513 here in Florida coming to you. And he's in Rockledge, Florida, which is right next door to me. So we're neighbors, and we're on the show together. And this is to give you all an introduction to Vinnie Howard, our Commandant, and also we're going to talk a little bit about the Marine Corps League and our Marine Corps League detachment. And also we'll talk about all the things we're doing, because we really do a lot of great things and helping out a lot of people. But I'll let Vinnie do all that. So Vinnie, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about your Marine Corps career and history, where you were, and so forth.
Thanks, Bill. Semper Fi Marines, my name is Vinnie Howard. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. I was recruited out of the Fordham Road Station, which is really no longer there. I think somebody crashed into it with a car, from what I was told. And I joined the Marine Corps in 1981 in the delayed entry program. I was a freshman in college, and it wasn't for me at the time. And I couldn't justify paying that kind of, have my parents pay that kind of money back then. So I decided to enlist. Did boot camp at Parris Island, went to school at 29 Palms, California for a communications center operator, 2542 for those that are Marines that would remember that number. And then got sent over to Okinawa, and they stuck me in 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion. And I was cross-trained in reconnaissance, field radio, and as a wireman. And during that time, I was deployed to Philippines as well as Guam, and on the USS Fresno. And then the biggest thing over there is when 23 October of '83, when they bombed the Beirut Embassy. We were over there, but we were too far away to do anything. So that's kind of been a sore spot for me personally. After I finished my tour there, went down to Camp Lejeune, as they say now, Lejeune for the rest of us, and was with 8th Communications Battalion out of French Creek. I was a NCO in that unit. They sent me to, I volunteered for every possible thing imaginable. They had just pulled out of Grenada, so I missed that window of opportunity as well. And then I went to Battalion NCO School for them, and then NBC Decontamination School over at Camp Geiger, and then finally to Satellite Communication School out in Coronado, California. I was in the 2nd class of operators when Marine Corps got that technology. I finished my tour there, went TAD to 2nd Radio Battalion in '85 and '86, and was deployed over to Germany in support, offering satellite support to that group.
So quite a career. You've been to a lot of places. One place we've been in common, I guess, was Okinawa. I guess all Marines end up in Okinawa at some time or another. So when you were released from active duty, you ended up in where, Minnesota?
No, I moved back to the Bronx, and I was waiting to get on the New York City Police Department, but they had a hiring freeze, so I got stuck in the middle of that, and then got married to a Minnesota gal who was a nanny out in Long Island, and we moved back there in 1990. And I was there exactly 25 years to the day. I got there August 2nd of 90 and moved August 2nd of 15. Summer of 2007, at the Minnesota State Fair, my wife was, wandering around, and they have a veterans building, and she noticed, all the different veterans organizations there, and one of them happened to be in the league. And so she signed me up for the birthday. And the birthday in '07 happened to be on a Sunday. So it was right after church. So I went over there, and the guy at the door, he was in his red blazer and cover. He goes, "Are you a part of the league?" I said, "What's that?" And he told me what it was. I said, "Give me the papers." Signed up, and it's been a meteoric rise since. I didn't get to fulfill the dreams that I wanted to when I was in to finish a tour as enlisted, go to the drill field, then use my college degree to become an officer. I did my 4 and got out, but being a part of the group has taken away the majority of that anxiety, and I've been able to help literally thousands of people between Minnesota and here with everything, all the different programs that the League provides.
Well, I know you're very active in our detachment, and from what I understand, that you accomplished quite a bit up in Minnesota. So maybe you could tell our viewers a little bit about. I believe you were a commandant. You became the commandant of your detachment up there, and did a lot as far as recruiting and helping out active Marines and all sorts of things.
Well, I hope we got plenty of time. I started out, you know, I was a young kid of the group. I was in my 40s and the youngest. Everybody else was 60 and above. And all they were doing was arguing back and forth, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm sitting in the back twiddling my thumbs like, okay, we need to change this. So I got made junior vice after 3 or 4 months. And, you know, we only had 7 people in the room with a roster of 40, just like pretty much any other detachment throughout the country. And so I asked, well, what can I do? So they made me junior vice. They gave me what's called the members at large list, which are Marine Corps League members that haven't joined a detachment yet. So out of the 25 names on the list, I put in 20 of them. And in a span of 3 months, I'd go to the recruiting station and kind of, you know, get the feel back and get all the memories back, get the motivation back. And I would counsel with some of the people that were higher up in the league, you know, about recruiting. And then pretty much sparked everything into an inferno. I would look for stuff to do. So from after the recruiting drive, now we had people. And they weren't used to somebody so young being so aggressive at, you know, doing this much. And nobody was behind me. That's okay. You know, I improvise, adapt, overcome. And I'm sure you've seen that picture of the mouse going through the maze. Mm-hmm. I'm going through every, you know, nook and cranny. He's eating wall through to get to his objective. And that's basically how I live my life. So I started looking for stuff to do. I would notice unserviceable flags. I would give information about, you know, the proper flag etiquette, or take the flag away and, you know, dispose of it properly for them. I worked with the recruiters, with the poolies. I started a mentoring program that's actually still used in Minnesota today, where I would match up my guys with what the kids are doing. I had one young Lance Corporal home on recruiter's assistance duty that was a photographer. Well, one of my guys, he was a Korean War vet, and he was a photographer, and I got those two together. And the guy had worked for almost 50 years for Life magazine when he got out. So imagine the experience that young kid has gotten. I would go to mini boot camp up at Camp Ripley and be out there PTing with the kids and showing a lot of them up. And at the time I was 49, rotator cuff surgery, arthroscopy on both knees, and both hip replacements. And I was beating some of them at the combat fitness test and in the martial arts because I'm an instructor. I saw the movie Taking Chance, and that kind of blew me away, as it would anybody that has seen the movie. And I kind of started doing Marine funerals. I'd get up every morning at dark 30 because I couldn't sleep, and I would read the obits every day, and I still do it to this day. And if I see a fallen Marine, if I'm able to go, I go and render honors in my dress uniform. I have a little care package for the family. In Minnesota, I did 85 funerals where I'm personally rendering honors. I've presented the flag, pushed coffins, carried urns, over 140 plus names in the guest book entry of the Star Tribune paper. I'm doing the same thing down here. Put together a color guard detail, you know, got all our equipment because we were borrowing it from the Legion, and, you know, I'd rather have our own. And I got, you know, the parade rifles rather than the real rifles, that I wouldn't have to worry about securing them and saving money and stuff like that. I started fundraising drives from helping other detachments do their stuff. My dog is biting on a bone.
Hey, my last show I had Marine Major Joe Jennings on, and I had his dog on there, which is part of his book. And folks, as you're listening to Vinnie tell about all these things, I can tell you Vinnie is the fire in our detachment right now. And maybe what you could do, you mentioned your junior vice, and I don't think a lot of people are going to understand exactly what that is. Could you give us a rundown of what the positions are in the Marine Corps, in a typical Marine Corps League detachment?
Sure. There's two types of officers. You have elected officers, which would be the four main officers, would be the commandant, myself, my senior vice, which would be the second in command, who takes my place if I'm not there. The junior vice, which would be the third in command, he would take that place of the senior vice. And he's in charge of recruiting and retention. The judge advocate, which is you,
which is me.
They maintain the bylaws and the rules and regulations of the league and maintain order within the group. Then you have appointed positions, which would be done by the commandant. We have a chaplain's position, a sergeant at arms position, who kind of maintains order and discipline and sets up the room. Then you have, a historian, a paymaster, an adjutant, and maybe a program director for, setting up things. And, those are all appointed by the commandant of the group.
And in our detachment 513 here in Brevard County, Florida, many of us wear different hats, and Vinnie wears a lot of these hats himself. And when he said, I'm the JAD, the judge advocate of the detachment, I've got the easiest job going, because so far I've been doing this for 3 years and I've never had one incident, which people say, well, I'm doing a great job. And I'm saying, no, I think I'm just very lucky.
Yeah, you are. I had the sad undertaking of holding what they call an Article 9, a judiciary hearing. And it was a good friend who was like a father to me, and he kind of messed up and charges were brought up, and he was the judge advocate before me. And he's the one who nominated me for the position. And he underestimated me. Is like, did you not think I would read the bylaws? Or, Marine on duty has no friends. We all know that from pulling guard duty. And, the first hearing, I had him suspended. And unfortunately, the second time, he had to be released from the league. And, unfortunately, this happens. And, it takes one person that can bring down an entire organization. And what happened, I'd rather not disclose, but the state commandant at the time, he kind of wrote me a letter of recommendation. He goes, at the end of the day, he was glad I was on his side. So just to make it, to lighten up the story, I used to watch JAG just to learn the courtroom procedures. And uniform as well. So,
hey, tell us.
Every organization is governed by bylaws, and we just updated ours. I'll have a copy for you at the next meeting, and then the copy for the state judge advocate as well.
Yeah, our detachment has really been very active and very productive, I might say, since Vinnie's taken over, and that has no reflection on the guys who was the immediate commandant, Bob Doyle. But Vinnie is really getting involved and doing a lot of things, and taking the time and making the time, I guess, to do fundraisers and get us involved in the community. We did something over in on Cocoa Beach on A1A Highway. We have a fallen Marine over there, and you want to tell me about that?
A1A. Yeah, since moving here in August of 15, I growing up in the concrete jungle and living in the frozen tundra, I'm time to thaw out, so I go to the beach a lot. And on A1A in both north and south directions, from if you going south of Patrick Air Force Base, there was a young Marine that was killed in 2004, Corporal Dustin Schrage, and there's 2 signs up on both directions and a couple of flags just stuck in the ground. Well, I see it every time I go there, and I wish something more could be done. Well, just like when an officer, asks you to, well, I'd like for this to be happening. Liking something is basically, in my eyes, a request. And, it's kind of an unspoken word. Okay, I would like for this to be done. Well, I made it happen. I put together a team, got the supplies. We put like a little fencing around the ground, around the sign, put in some nice cedar chips, a couple more flags, and put a little information box with about the kid. And the kid's brother happened to go by because he surfs a lot, and he noticed, and he was floored at the fact that somebody went through this effort. And he put out on Facebook, please, whoever did this, contact me. So I reached out to him, and I'm trying to invite the family to a meeting to tell us, about Corporal Schrage, his life and stuff. Mm-hmm. And people come by all the time. And now, every time I drive by, I'm going by, touching it up a little bit, replacing a flag or whatever. And it's just something, Marines take care of their own, no matter what the situation. It's just like, reverting back to the movie Taking Chance. One falls, another one brings them home. And that's what we're doing. We're honoring his memory and keeping him still alive, not only in the plain sight of the public, but in our hearts as brother Marines.
Yeah. Because of that, I also was in contact with his brother through Facebook, and I was not one of the ones that was out there actually doing the physical work out there on the highway, which is named after Dustin Schrage. But his brother told me, he said he and his family were just moved to tears. They're just so thrilled to know that, somebody really cared and somebody did what they did. And, he was just so happy about it. So we certainly made a big impact on their lives and I guess their relatives and friends and neighbors as well. We're also doing some other community outreach type of things or helping out in the community. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those, and maybe some of the other Marine Corps League detachments that watch this, will get some ideas, or maybe they'll send us some ideas on some of the things they're doing that we could learn from.
Well, 2 events that we have coming up. There's actually a conference over in Safety Harbor this weekend, which I'll be attending right after our meeting. So it's going to be an interesting drive after that. We're hosting a fundraiser over at Tijuana Flats in Vieira, and that'll be on the 25th of April from 5 to 8. So I'm hoping we can get some of our members there. They do what's called a spirit night, and any nonprofit can set up some type of table, get prior permission and all that stuff. And I have I'm looking at it right now, all my stuff on the table, to set up, for information for the league. And 20% of the proceeds go towards the detachment. Now, we not only provide stuff for Marines, widows, spouses, active duty members, but we also assist through the efforts of all our members, one in particular, Bob Doyle, who's I'm his replacement as commandant, and he's the manager of operations over at the Brevard Veterans Memorial Center. And he does a phenomenal job helping all veterans. And Bill Kowalczyk, who's my sergeant at arms, he does a ton of work there as well. And Pat Clendenning, who was a past commandant, he does volunteer work there now. So, it's not only just Marines helping Marines, but helping all the branches. We have another fundraiser that I've set up for at Publix in Rockledge. It'll be a flag fundraiser, and I've been very successful with those. And all our proceeds, as soon as they come in, they're right back out the door helping Marine families and or other branches of service. We recently participated in the final naval battle of the Revolutionary War color guard. I carried our colors and Bob carried the colors of the newly established VFW at the memorial, and Bill carried the flag for the memorial. And a new member, Norman Desamarius, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He was in traditional Revolutionary War garb. So that's, you know, some of the other stuff we do in the community. And just to, you know, recognize the efforts of how the community helps us, how we, in return, like the gal that provided all the supplies that I needed for the beautification of the memorial on A1A, I went over there with the Marine Corps League Certificate of Appreciation and presented it to her in front of all her peers. We had our first hosting of the Marine Corps birthday in November, and we went over we had Sonny's Barbecue do a, you know, the catering, went over there and presented them a certificate of appreciation. So, you know, we take care of our own and those that help us to achieve our missions.
You know, and we're really blessed in that we have the Brevard County Veterans Memorial Center and Museum as a place where we can meet, and it's a place where a lot of the other groups meet. The American Legion meets there, the VFW meets there, and quite a few other groups, too many to name. And so we have our meeting there, and so that's a place where we can get together. And like you were saying, Bob Doyle's the operations manager there, and some of the other Marines that are in our detachment are also volunteers there, are doing lots of good things there. So we're really involved in a lot of things. And you mentioned the fair event at Tijuana Flats. I've got that on my calendar. I'm certainly going to attend that. And also, we set up a table where, for example, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, 4th of July, all these various occasions where they have events at the Veterans Memorial Center. We have our Marine Corps detachment table there for people for information and come by and say hello and that. And Vinnie, you've really taken that over and done a great job on that too.
Yeah, thank you. It's a team. You know, it's hard to get people of any Marine Corps League detachment to collectively get together. You know, the age differences, the health differences, the availability, the family commitments. So one of the programs I put together is what they call IEP, Individual Efforts Program. So you give a list of potential projects and just hand them out there and let people do what they want on their own time, so it doesn't interfere with, you know, their regular everyday lives. And just, you know, share what they did at the meeting or send it to me so I can put it in a newsletter. And everybody's circumstances are different. I've been real fortunate. I've got a very loving and supportive wife. And I always blame her because, honey, you signed me up for the league. I can't sign me up. So that's my running joke there. And I do everything at night when either they're at school or so I don't take away from them, and I can go on 4 or 5 hours sleep a night. For a service member, you know, to me that means the world because of, you know, not living the dream that I had for myself. This is making up for it.
Yeah. You mentioned your newsletter. I know you do that a lot at night on your own time, and you started this newsletter for our detachment. And I've seen some newsletters from a few other attachments that Facebook friends or social media friends have sent me. But tell us a little bit about your newsletter because it's really phenomenal.
Thank you. I was kind of inspired old detachment. I had taken over for did a you know, 1 or 2 word sentences. My senior vice at the time, he's a Microsoft god, and he his PowerPoint where I worked at Jim. I made my own templates, use the templates on the computer, but I put, I download pictures from Facebook, or, there's several Marine sites that I visit to get all the information. So I put stuff about the League, the leadership of the Marine Corps, as well as the League, the leadership of the detachment, meeting dates, Marine Corps history. Now, this isn't, the 1 or 2 word history things that we learn in recruit training. This is some in-depth history. And, it's fun to know where you come from. It's kind of like, a genealogy project. You're tracking down your family tree. And, I do information on funerals and, recruiting tips, what's going on around the League or at the recruiting station for the active duty people. There's a lot of Facebook humor about the Marine Corps, so I put those in. And, I promoted your, stuff that you do, the great work you do, as well as some of our other members. My senior vice, my second in command, Pat Bentley, he runs the Young Marines program out of West Melbourne. It's right off Dairy Road at the VFW. They meet every other Saturday from about 8:30 to noon. And the Young Marines program is kind of like a JROTC, but for younger kids. They're like 8 years old up to 18. And they work on, drill for parades. And it's basically like a no drug type lifestyle. And he does a phenomenal job. Actually, Pat was our first Detachment Marine of the Year, and is well deserved. He does so much for the community as well as the League, the detachment, his community, his church, and the detachment runs because of him. He's our finance guy, and he knows the ins and outs of everything and keeps the detachment running smooth, so makes all of us look good.
Yeah, Pat is really doing work above and beyond the call of duty. Like you say, he's our treasurer or paymaster, I guess you would call him, and handles all the finances and produces a great report for us. So, yeah, we have so many good people, and of course, we'd like to get more involved too. The more people we get involved, the more we can do to help the community. Speaking of something else, someone else that really is doing something for the Marine Corps community is our chaplain, Dan Mix. And you want to tell a little bit about what he, as our chaplain, and his wife are doing for Marines?
Dan's a very unique character. He's battling a lot of health issues, both him and his wife, but he still is out there doing the deed. He was in the Corps quite some time ago. Him and his wife are struggling with some health issues, but he still makes every meeting. And him and his family were very instrumental with helping our Marine Corps birthday that we hosted this past year. But Dan also has a special project and/or what we call mission of praying and offering spiritual guidance and support for families of Marines that are getting ready to deploy. And that's a big thing. He will visit them. He'll talk with them on the phone or, meet somewhere for a cup of coffee and just sit there and offer, different scriptures. When you're experiencing this, turn to this scripture, or if you're experiencing that, turn to that scripture. And he keeps us grounded and centered, and we're very fortunate to have him as a member of our detachment.
I know I've given him several names of Marines who are Facebook friends on my Facebook friends list that are stationed overseas or somewhere. And he prays for them. So, gosh, I can't imagine how much more a Marine would feel better about if they know that there's guys back here that are actually thinking about them and praying for them and holding them in their thoughts and prayers. So if anybody's watching this, and if you have a son or daughter or brother or cousin or whoever it might be, relative that's deployed, be sure and let me know somehow, or let Vinnie know, and we'll get the word to Dan and his wife, and they'll pray. And That's such a wonderful thing. So there's just so many just outstanding things that the Marine Corps League does, and it does for the community, and really nationwide and worldwide, so to say. So, Vinnie, it's just really been great having you on the show today. And we had a little technical difficulty there, and I think there was another time there where my internet connection, this was all on me, it was a little bit unstable, so hopefully didn't ruin the show too much. But I want to thank you so much for being on, and there's going to be an article that goes along with this show, and Vinnie will have some information on there and some links on there, and we'll get the information out. So, Vinnie, is there anything else you want to wrap it up with or tell us about?
Yeah, just some last minute things. You know, we all hear about the Legions and the VFWs, and they're all great. They're all federally chartered. They're all veterans. What's unique about the Marine Corps League, it is just Marines, Corpsmen, FMF Navy Corpsmen, and chaplains. And we all know where we stand with one another. We need each other to accomplish our missions. Our particular attachment, the Brevard County Detachment 513, we meet at the Brevard Veterans Memorials, which is 400 South Sykes Creek Boulevard, I believe, in Merritt Island. It's behind the Merritt Island Mall. We meet on the first Thursday of the month at 6 p.m., 1,800 few military people. And it's $40 a year. We have meetings every month, unless it's a hurricane. You'll get our version of Leatherneck magazine, which is called Semper Fi. And actually, the last one, there was 3 different detachments, plus a state picture in it. So we're working on having stuff that our detachment does put in there. And if you know of a Marine, doesn't matter what age, what conflict, if or any, doesn't matter, officer or enlisted, everybody is the same. There is no what you did in the Marine Corps, is going to dictate what you do in the League. There is none of that. There is no politics involved, and it's just Marines helping Marines and or other veterans. And it's a good time. You put into it what you get you get out of it what you put into it. And if you want to sit there and just receive the magazine, fine. If you want to sit there and just attend the meeting, fine. We just love having you there. And once you feel comfortable with everything and find your niche, you'll be stepping up and doing what you want to do to make our detachment and our Marine community, as well as our country, great again as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being on the American Vision with me, Vinnie, and hopefully we'll meet some new friends, new Marines because of this, and we'll have made a lot of new friends with people who now have a better understanding of what the Marine Corps League is all about.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'd be happy to come on anytime you need me to. I used to go on Minnesota radio all the time, and they had he was a little too liberal for my taste. As long as you don't ask me politics or religion, we'll be fine, because he was an Army vet. And then I was on another military type talk show. So once again, thank you for the opportunity. Marines, if you're out there, come on down. 1,800 on the first Thursday of the month. We're looking forward to meeting you and working together to provide for others. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, Vinnie.
Take care.
Semper Fi, Marines and Patriots. I'm back to wrap this up. Hope you really enjoyed the show with Vinnie Howard, our 513 Florida Detachment Commandant. And hopefully you'll see this and you'll do some things to help your detachment, or if you're not a Marine and you're just interested, you'll know that, hey, there's a lot of us that are doing a lot of volunteer work. We don't get paid anything for this. We do this because we love our country, we love our Corps, and we just our vets, and we just love all the citizens in this country, and we just want to make it a better country. And the Marine Corps continues to do that through all of us Marines who are always Marines all of our lives, and we're working to do everything we can to help you. So I'm going to leave on that note. Remember, I got my book that I want you guys to read, and I want to sign copies of it for you and everything. So you can go to my webpage and check out my book, and it's got some really good chapters in there about my ideas on how we can solve some of the problems with the VA, and how we can give the our active duty personnel raises, and how we can provide better benefits and care for their families. So really good solutions in there that you really want to read about and know about. So anyway, thank you all for watching, boys and girls. God bless you all. God bless our Corps. Semper Fi to all the Marines. And God save our country, because we need you now more than ever before.